What's good, YouTube? I am joined here by MegaCapG, Rank10YGO YugiNoNo, YugiNoNo, MKohl40, and GCD. Everybody go ahead and introduce yourself so people that are new to perhaps you guys will know who's talking.
I'm Yugi Yes. You should all know who I am.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Jesus, that's all you need to know.
Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Jesus. Turn water into whiskey.
He really is. He really is Jesus. I mean, look at this guy.
That was my high school nickname, believe it or not. I mean, well, it's probably not hard to believe.
Okay, I'm MegaCapG. I'm here because of affirmative action. I'm the black guy, so there you go.
The token.
Token black Yugi.
Oh, man. And we got Austin Powers in the house.
Yeah, I guess I'll go. I'm AlintheaYoh. I'm just filling in the British spot, to be honest. And
got Europeans in here.
Yeah, we got a couple foreigners. It's great.
yeah, no, but no British. So anyway, yeah, that's me.
I'm filling in for the resident alcoholic Yu-Gi-Oh! Slav. I presume most people are familiar with it.
Rank10, are you taking a shot in that picture?
I am taking a shot in most pictures people have of me on the internet.
That is awesome. I like your eyes.
I mean, I don't need a webcam because I look like that most of the time.
That picture is awesome.
I'm here as the residential fat old guy that we need.
Yeah.
And I'm GCD, the resident replay yugituber.
There we go. We gotta have at least one resident.
And then we have Mr. Jump to 20,000 subs in no time, Jonathan Moore.
Hey.
Yeah, no, that was depressing.
Why was that depressing?
Because it took
Well,
me.
let's be real now.
Like,
if I did 6 videos a day, I would have a lot more subscribers too.
Definitely.
Yeah.
He's right.
Anyway, that's not why we're here. So let's move on. We're not bitter at all, you asshole.
And then there's me, one video a year.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
that was me for a while.
Where do you guys want to start this discussion? You want to start it with the pendulum thing, or you want to start it just with...
Let's go ahead with the basic of the mechanics. So basically, a link monster is, there's two ways to summon it, and it will either be by sending the materials you need to the graveyard, which would be, they'll specify on the card what those are, such as the main monster Decode Talker needs 3 effect monsters, or you can use a link up to the number. So if it's a link 3, you can use a link 2 and then one other material. So those are the two ways to summon a link monster. And there's a whole lot of questions because there's a new zone played, and now the pendulum zones have been put back into the spell and trap zone, and the entire board has kind of shifted around.
Which I do like. I do like that. It helps check pendulums.
Dude,
really
anything that hurts pendulums is good. I just fucking hate that mechanic.
I actually love the mechanic. I'm gonna get like so much hate for this because there's a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players that instantly hated pendulums and they still hate pendulums. But you know, I always liked the mechanic, and I liked the strategy that it brought to the game on how to counter them, and it brought, like, you know, a lot of, you know, old cards to light, like Spell Shattering Arrow, for example, back in the day. Like, I mean, just it was just cool, you know. And not only that, but I do like, you know, popping cards, stacking the extra deck, gaining a lot of advantage, and having essentially everything float by stacking your extra deck. I always liked that. But at the same time, though, I could see where people hate it. But when, you know, it's abused to the point that it has been, where you make these unbeatable boards, that's where the mechanic gets kind of shitty. I mean, if it was just like, you know, spam a few monsters and then, like, you know, going second, make a Castell, you know what I mean? Versus like going first, making Infinity, and then, you know, Metalphos having a freaking Thousand Eyes Restrict on your opponent's turn, you know, just all that stuff. I could see where the mechanic is shit, and I could see where what this new link mechanic is trying to do. I could see where it's really going to check pendulums in a couple of ways and make the game more fair, you know?
See, that's what I don't like about pendulums, because, like, I'm fine. I don't even like the way Yu-Gi-Oh! Has gone now, where it's like all about making these big boards, and it's like you can't crack them. Although Zodiacs is a little different, but I don't like the concept of you basically get an infinite amount of resources. You're talking about metaphors and how you can, like, pop the scales, and like summon them back, and when you fusion, they go back to your extra deck. Like at least
yeah. And then also another thing about pendulums I like is I mean it's treated. You can treat the zones like continuous spells or like field spells. You know what I mean? Where they have effects, and I think that's pretty interesting as well.
The problem in my
Go ahead.
Sorry, the problem in my eyes with pendulums when the mechanic was first, I'm pretty sure everyone realized that it was the definition of only a matter of time before this became completely broken, and it very quickly became broken. And that was my biggest gripe with the whole thing.
The thing is, people immediately thought it was gonna be broken because summoning a bunch of monsters in one turn, even though pendulums are inherently extremely underpowered given the fact that what you have to do to actually employ them, it was the archetypes and individual cards that were broken, not the mechanic itself.
Yeah, and like Klee, I would argue. I mean, Klee was like the first good pendulum deck. I think we can kind of all agree on that.
Yeah, but
it didn't abuse the pendulum mechanic. It abused the shit out of floodgates. You know what I mean? It abused the shit out of skill drain. I mean, they got stronger with skill drain. That was the dumbest thing in the world.
You know, the entire problem with this argument, though, is literally the fact that every deck has 7 main deckable outs to this mechanic. Like, yes, I get it's broken as fuck, but it's not like you don't have the resources and tools at your disposal.
Right, and then we have, and not to mention the Solemn Brigade that can stop an entire pendulum summon and literally end a turn. You know
that's not a good argument. You can Solemn.
The fuck you mean that's not a good argument?
Hey guys, let's get back on track first, though. We're talking. This video is about Link monsters.
Okay. So
I came here to talk about pendulums. This is 2014.
Okay, well, getting back on track then. I could see where the Link mechanic is going to be good for the game by limiting the power of pendulums. But it doesn't limit them completely because, like we were talking about before we actually started the stream, you can actually still, playing Metal Foes, for example, stack your extra deck, set a scale, and pendulum summon from the extra deck because pendulum monsters are not inherent extra deck monsters, so you could pendulum summon like normal. So the pendulum mechanic is probably still going to be the reigning mechanic in the game because of that, because you can link summon faster. You know what I mean?
Well, Metal Foes at least. Not sure about the rest.
I think the way.
What the heck?
We've lost AlintheaYoh.
Yeah.
If you do play a
European microphones.
I think it's the
European
connection.
internet.
Wait, who is
probably
that?
the internet.
You love AlintheaYoh?
Anyways, we lost AlintheaYoh.
I like the fact that I like the simplicity of it. It's like a perfect combination between like Synchro and Exceed. The fact that you can use anything to basically make these, like you can use Exceeds are basically monsters that you can't really do much of anything with, like when they don't have their materials. I guess you can fuse with them, but the fact that you can use tokens for them, the fact that you can use any effect monsters regardless of level, you don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about playing funky spells. Like, to me, they seem extremely practical, and their power doesn't look so extreme that it's just like, oh my god, this is just going to instantly break the game. Like, it seems like, to me, not to go off on a different topic, but it looks like this should have been the natural progression after Exceed. Because they look, these Link monsters are very practical.
The Xyz mechanic wasn't like incredibly broken. I think it actually made the game better because having versatility in your extra deck to out things and progress game state and enhance player interaction, that was actually a really good step in the game. And then the step after, with pendulums, I think was player interaction. I mean, this isn't the greatest example, but Wavering Eyes, as broken as that card was, I mean, it did cause a lot of player interaction, which is good for the game, in my opinion.
The Wavering Wars were the best.
Yeah, they were. I hated that. I hated that card, but I loved that format. Like pre-Bosch Magician format. That's actually where I met John for the first time down in Arlington. That was one of my favorite formats. Like that December after Magicians came out, that structure deck came out, was just a lot of fun. But that's neither here nor there. Like getting back to like the Link summoning, something else that we were talking about was what was it? Kaijus, and how kaijus are going to work, and the mechanic itself not being able to put a kaiju in the extra deck zone and all of that. I'll let somebody else talk
The
about that.
the kaiju should still be able to be summoned because it just has to tribute the monster. It doesn't need to go to that zone in order to be summoned.
Yeah.
So it's still
Yeah,
going to work on them. There shouldn't be any confusion about that because you could always like kaiju a monster from one zone and put it in any of the others. It's not going to matter if it's in the extra monster zone or in the main monster zone. It's going to be able to tribute that monster and still pop up in the main monster zone.
Here's a question I have. So the new extra deck monster zone, is that treated completely different from cards that affect monster zones? Like I've heard you guys know
I was just about to talk about that because people have been bringing up Ojama King, Ground
and,
Collapse, Zany
Ground
Zaza,
Collapse.
but
Yes.
yeah, Konami will have to bring out an official ruling on whether new monster zones are considered the old ones.
The problem is
are they treated differently or what?
The problem
Well,
right
we don't
now.
know yet.
The problem right
Ground
now is the
Collapse would
word
be broken.
the word monster zone is in both the Ojama King and Ground Clap, so we don't know if they're going to just edit that to make it main monster zone because that zone became that, or if since it's extra monster zone, which is still a monster zone if it can.
Yeah.
But either way, like it's still kind of a fragile strategy on both. I think even if you could, but I can see why people are liking it so much.
Well, it's just going to be a lot of weird card interactions. Like I think Ghost Trick's Yugitubers. I don't know the effect off the top of my head, but I think like when she destroys a monster, you get to like make it so your opponent can't use that monster zone or something weird like that. So I'm wondering if you blow up like a Link monster, is your opponent's extra deck monster zone? Is it basically done? And it's I think it's like when you control a Ghost Trick or some shit like that. I never played Ghost Tricks, but I looked at the card because people were talking about it, and I'm wondering if that's a way to just permanently lock out your opponent's extra deck monster zone. Even though it obviously wouldn't be that good, it's just something that I would like to know.
I'm pretty sure they'll end up specifying which zone it is, and I would have to think it's going to be main monster zone because that's what the monster zone became. It's in that article they said this zone becomes that zone, so cards that previously affected it will probably only affect that zone still.
That's pretty interesting.
What I'm curious about is how the fuck they're gonna design the mats now.
Yeah, well, and see what's really funny. I can get out one of the cheap mats I have over there, but they've already cut off the pendulum zones. You know what I'm talking about?
Not just that. No, I mean we have monster zones between players' monster zones. Are they gonna have like one half of a monster zone at the top?
Wait, is there a banish zone on the mat side?
No, there's never been a banish zone.
Why isn't that a thing?
Because it's a ghost zone essentially.
Like I was just thinking about that. I was like, why don't we have? That's kind of weird. That Konami's gonna have to because like do the regional mats? They have pendulum zones on them now, right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's not gonna be that hard to redesign the mat. You just put the two castles at the top and move along with your day.
Right, and then also the banish zone. When Yu-Gi-Oh started, like the banish zone was the banish zone. Like shit did not come back from the banished zone. You know what I mean? Like it does today, like at all. Like it was just gone. You know what I mean? So they never made it like a zone on the map.
That's just weird. I don't with so many decks in the meta like Infernoids. It's like why not?
And then instead of banish zone, we got face down banish, which was apparently supposed to be never ever recover, but then Omega came in, so that's not a thing anymore. So we need another banish zone, which is like banished forever to the abyss and realm of nothingness.
Speaking of Omega, what happens if I make Omega shoot it and then make another Omega and shoot it? Where can I return them at?
I was wondering about that too.
That's very interesting because Omega can put itself in any zone currently. So I would think that you could actually pop it up anywhere in a sense.
And are you saying? I get what you're saying, Rob. You're saying if you summon Omega in the extra monster zone,
but then shoot it.
You summon it in a main zone.
Yeah,
dude, that would be so broken if you could do.
Yeah, but here's the thing though, Cap. They made the ruling that I can bring it back from the graveyard as a monster. So does that mean the Stardust I bring out that wasn't properly summoned can go anywhere off of Starlight Road?
I don't think so because that's still out of the extra deck when you do that.
Yeah, I don't think that'll apply.
It's just like Instant Fusion Norden has to go in that zone, I believe, unless you have an enabled zone. Even though that's a proper fusion summon, quote unquote.
Yeah.
So hold on, you're saying if you how would you bring this Stardust back, Robbie?
He's saying you bring it out.
Back. I'm saying when you bring it out.
Okay, yeah.
I think you have to have an accessible zone for that in order to bring it out.
So Are you saying like if you start like Road, are you asking where would it go then? Are you saying it would go into monsters?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying because it wasn't properly summoned, and they're already making the fact that like if you bring it back from the graveyard, that it's no longer it can go anywhere. So having it not be properly summoned in the first place coming out, can that bypass the mechanics?
I don't think it can.
No,
it's just little interesting things like that.
Yeah, they're going to have to specify these things, so it's good to bring up what they should have to.
Oh my god, there's so many goddamn rulings over like 9,000 Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
I mean,
I like
round
how
class is
there are
fucking
so many
$15 because of this.
there are so many questions this new rule set brings up, but Konami, instead of explaining all of them, brings up does Wavering Eyes destroy
No, it does.
cards?
They already explained that.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that out. We were really curious about that of all
They
time.
answer some random ass question about Wavering Eyes and like fucking pendulums. I know what you're talking about. There's so many questions about how the link mechanic is going to
Yeah,
work.
because when I saw that entire announcement, the only question in my mind was, but how will Wavering Eyes work?
So again, everybody so far is you can use tokens to summon these.
That's right. That's what we're
Seems like
thinking.
it, yeah.
Well, then
Is
Scapegoat
just broken?
Scapegoat is still Mrs. Radiant.
Yeah, like is Scapegoat just like gonna be the fucking nuts? Because I mean, I imagine they're going to make Link 4s and 5s, and if I'm giving up 5 monsters, I expect like fucking Shockmaster.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Not to backtrack here, but did Ojama Trio go up because King went up and everything else went up? But did Trio see any sort of movement because of this?
I haven't looked.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's
Senate
actually a really
Switch.
good point.
That's a card that's
Yeah.
gone up before too and got bought out before.
Okay,
nope,
so
he is-
Ojama Trio did not go up, but Senate Switch, Ground Collapse, and Ojama King, an inherently worse card than this card, went up.
That's so weird.
Is
Like
it because...
Ojama Trio was like, I mean,
Well, no, Trio would be bad, though, because your opponent could just use the tokens.
Yeah,
before
your
it links
opponent
them.
would.
Yeah.
I would.
yeah, okay.
Your
Okay,
opponent
got
would
it.
use
That makes
them.
sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Also, Gofu's about to be an insane card.
Yeah, I've already got Gofu on my short list. Gofu looks kind of broken. So there's a big elephant in the room that Konami hasn't answered, which is just kind of weird to me. What the fuck is going to go on with the extra deck? Are we still staying at 15 or what?
Does it really matter if it goes higher? Because, like...
Yes, it
Sure.
matters, man. I want to play.
No,
like,
it doesn't, because at most, like, in some scenarios, you'll only be able to access 4 or 5 cards.
Right, you only need like a
Yeah,
few,
you know,
you only need a few
you
like
might-
spots in your extra deck for link monsters. I would say like 3 spots would do you for a duel. You know what I mean?
And if your
the
opponent
thing
mangas
is-
Upwork you, sucks to suck.
Well, the thing is, synchro spam decks can't do anything anymore, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of-
20 extra deck, 15 extra deck,
yeah,
because
like, I
Rank
don't
Rank 10, it's 2017. Those decks died a long time ago.
I know, but some people are still extremely enthusiastic about them, and while I do hate the decks, it's kind of weird to kill an entire idea of a deck for a new mechanic, but again, I'm not against it. I do like the
And it
mechanic.
was only late last year Dark Synchro was still around, so it's not exactly like the whole mechanic died.
One thing that's really
Right.
funny to me is people complaining about some extremely old decks being unplayable now, because like I hear,
and shit
oh,
like that.
my Viacroids, oh no, what will I do now?
Well, yeah.
No, hey, something else I want to bring up. Like speaking of old decks, like I mean, how strong are anti-meta decks gonna be? Like, I mean, you summon like a Vanity's Fiend or like, I mean, damn Fossil Dyna, or you play like Barrier Stun. Like going first against a deck, you know, like a spam deck that's gonna be way more limited now. I don't know. Like, I think it might be better. Like, I think anti-meta might make kind of a comeback. You know, I mean, not saying that anti-meta decks have always been bad, because we've seen barrier statues and stuff just in the recent past do really well. But I mean, you
Well, this
know
is
where-
what I was thinking as well. Like old stun decks and like rituals do really well. Like Cyber Herald is one of those decks that goes up and down
Yeah.
a bit, and you occasionally see it. Now you summon out a Herald, you're like, okay, this is going to be a lot more difficult to get over. So like, it's going to be really interesting to see how if some old decks that don't require the extra deck as much, how they really like come forward, because I think they might actually do well. You might see like the rise of, if Law Mowing's still around, that might be one of the strongest.
yes.
You know, like Infernoids, like Jesus Christ.
or even like Blue Eyes or Cosmo. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just
the original ones like that just don't really require the extra deck to function. Like they seem like really strong.
I feel like
One
Blue
thing-
Eyes has a problem with stun decks.
Yeah,
We're stuck.
they don't
Yeah.
have enough removal.
Well, the point is they don't need the extra deck. They just reveal for alternative and then get a freaking 3,000 attack beater for free. Like
One thing that's really funny to me is that I look at Zodiacs and then at this new mechanic, and I think Konami had this mechanic in mind when they were making these, because first of all, an Xyz-based deck based on stacking things atop of a single monster, a single Xyz monster, also Earth, so that you can make Mrs. Radiant with it. I mean, I'm reaching a bit here, but it does sound like they planned this in advance.
It's very convenient, isn't it? It seems like they were testing something there.
and also every mechanic for them. I mean, bottom line, every mechanic for them, every change they make to the game, they're a business. I mean, we've all said this before. It's a ploy to make money. Like, it really is. Like,
business wants to make money. I don't understand.
I think this is probably one of the first ones in my mind that I don't think this is a direct approach to necessarily make money. Obviously, I think because of the way that the player base is now, a lot of us are like old considering like the history of the game. Right. With the movie coming in and everything like this, it seems like they're soft booting it to bring in new people into the game. While the link summoning might be like complicated to us now, I think it's actually going to be a fairly simple mechanic once we actually get down to the brass tacks of it.
Right. It kind of is. It really is.
Yeah. Pendulums were really complicated for us when we got them. You know what I mean? And
we're quite old in our thinking. I still like tribute summon, skull serve, summon skull, attack, and I'm like, now what the hell's going on?
Right.
Like, we're still quite old.
One thing I can't stand about pendulums even to this day is double effects, something I could never get used to, because catching info about all of these, like following what's going on, got super hard for me because of pendulums. But I think the thing about links is, like, I love that they're simple enough to understand, but also I feel like they had, like, one thing I feel like they should have been, unlike pendulums, I feel links should have been half extra deck monster, half link monster, such as having a synchro link monster, a linkro, if you will, a link Xyz monster, etc. Because then not only could you synergize it with the deck you're playing, if it's Xyz, fusion, or synchro based, but you would also have access to link monsters, which would then in turn unlock the rest of your extra deck.
At some point they will make half pendulum, half blue cards, right? Like,
I hope they don't, because we have enough of that with pendulums.
I actually talked about that. I had to delete a lot of my videos, but I had talked about that a long time ago. Half ritual, half pendulum. Pendulum monsters, like obviously, like, it wouldn't be the spell and the ritual monster in one, but you know what I mean. Like, it would be an archetype where a pendulum monster would be like the spell to ritual summon a ritual pendulum. You know what I mean? Like, I always thought that was a really cool idea.
It's kind of just only a matter of time, really, before they start melding together that type of stuff. Really,
you also have to remember, like, at the same time as well, like, they will make a spell card at some point that will terraform your zones and do the same thing that a link monster will do.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody is acting like the sky is falling for these synchro decks, and it looks like that in the short term. But like, I'm pretty sure that
as a whole, people just don't like change, man. That's what it is.
Well, I mean, you're already playing a game with the highest learning curve in, like, any game. Like, if you're a new player coming into this game, why do I want to learn all these different mechanics? Like, I already wouldn't want to shoot myself.
I had a guy, like, he was willing to let me teach him the game with a Kaiba Reloaded structure deck, and he quit when he saw what Dark Hole does.
I don't think I would ever actually try and teach someone how to play Yu-Gi-Oh! It's just it's too much fucking shit.
I mean, it was already hard enough when Xyz came out. Now you have the
There's literally just too much to cover, from how to summon monsters to then damage step, like, even experienced players get messed up with that.
Without getting into the deep details of damage steps and everything, and chain links and
only 7 sub-steps. It's not terrible.
Disregarding that clusterfuck, I do feel like links, while adding some depth to the game, I feel they slow it down enough and open up enough possibilities. Like I said before, give some breathing room to new players so that they don't always get sacked turn 1.
I think it does.
It is a new layer of strategy, but it's a slower way of strategy. I can't phrase myself well enough. I am not a native English speaker, but what I was basically going to say is links offer enough time to.
Anyway,
assess
sorry
your
about
moves.
that.
No problem. Links offer enough time to assess your moves and what you're going to do, along with being potentially able to synergize with a huge number of decks, because again, it's only a matter of time before we get enough generic support to use them in every deck. It's just that they effectively slow down the entire game with a new rule set as opposed to a ban list, and I feel that has a huge potential to attract new players.
It was a soft reset we wanted.
That's what I'm saying. You
Yeah,
guys,
I agree.
This is Konami trying to like actively slow the game down, because I think it's pretty obvious that they see the way like the game used to be played back in
Yes,
like
I
that.
mean, we are literally in. Okay, here's my board. Break my board. Okay, now here's my board. Break my board. If you broke that
Exactly.
board, you know what I mean?
It couldn't have
if
lasted
you
for
played-
much longer.
If you played Duel Links, though, like you basically just got a taste of like the new mechanic, essentially.
I
wouldn't say so,
played Duel Links yet.
Well,
but
not really.
Duel Links is a cool idea, although the name has little to nothing to do with the new mechanic.
No,
but-
it's just coincidence.
Yeah, Duel Links, I don't think it may get people interested in the actual game, but I don't think it'll get them to actually play it, given how different it is to the actual game. Duel
Right,
Links
but
is
So even if you,
Duel
if you
Links,
just
I mean,
convert,
isn't
like,
Duel Links like really simple, like almost like Summon Skull Beatdown, like we were talking about a little while ago?
it's Summon Skull Beatdown with newer cards. So kind of like it's a
Okay.
really weird. It's a really weird
Okay,
kind of
okay,
format.
So Summon Skull Beatdown with like every iconic card from every era.
Yeah, have you ever played one of the old school like Game Boy games?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's basically like that. Like you're playing like
Okay.
Sonic Duck and shit
So
like
when like someone plays Duel Links and then they decide that they want to play for real, they're like, what the fuck is this white card? What the fuck
yeah,
is this black
they're
card?
like, see something, what's that?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay. I mean, that's pretty much how I was when I got back into Yu-Gi-Oh! And I was like, what the fuck is a Stardust Dragon and why is it kicking my ass so bad? Because when I got back into Yu-Gi-Oh! Years ago, I mean, I came back thinking the Blue Eyes White Dragon was still the baddest card around, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I honestly think that Konami is I think they're trying to not only slow the game down, I think they're trying to bring back like older players who have quit. I think they're trying to make the game kind of resemble the old days, so where obviously you can't just like vomit all over the field of I got Dryden plus Coach King, Bearman plus Dagosto Emerald, like 5 back row. Even though there are still some plays that allow you to do that with was it Millis Radiance or something like that. I think they're just trying to take a lot of that out of the game and make it resemble like the old GX days where the game was just much slower. I was actually thinking about you, YugiNoNo, when I was thinking about GOAT format. I was like, man, this guy really likes fucking GOAT format.
Oh yeah. They have like 6 GOAT decks or something.
Yeah, but I just thought about it. Like when I used to stream, I'm like, even when you open with shit in GOAT format, like you are guaranteed to have interaction with your opponent like for 4 turns. And it's like, that is not Yu-Gi-Oh! Today.
You could open shit going and lose the die roll, because back then you got to see the extra card going first. So going first was the shit. That's what you wanted to do. So you could lose the die roll and open like shit going second, and still open up with like a nobleman, a cross out, and still be able to actually make a move. For just random example, but you could actually do stuff.
Can I propose a question to you all?
Sure.
So with Link's format coming out, there's another white horse in the room that needs to be answered. But how dramatically is this going to unban certain cards from the game?
I was thinking about that. I was thinking to myself just yesterday that Shockmaster can come back now.
You know what, Rob?
I'm
literally looking at the Forbidden Unlimited list right now because I was just about to ask that. I was just thinking how much this could potentially free up the list.
I'm not sure about Shockmaster, given the fact that it's still a viable turn 1 option.
Yeah, and
So
people
you can
don't
make
like your
an
opponent not playing Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay. Well, what if you brought out unbanned Shockmaster and Exiton, for example?
I wonder how Exiton work.
I don't think they want Exiton back at this time.
Exiton will come back, man. Exiton will rise again.
I mean, okay.
I've kept my copies of it. I haven't gotten rid of them.
I mean, it's gonna happen one day, but if we take into consideration what happened when the old new summoning methods were announced, they banned a lot of stuff in order to promote them, such as royal oppression and the like. So basically, I don't think they're going to do anything that's directly going to affect the playability of links in any negative way. And Exciton could do just that. Like, you made the link, okay, I'll blow it up now, bye. So,
what are some cards you guys think?
What about the bobble chain?
Yeah, other than like some crazy loops, I can't like the bobble chain just doesn't need to be banned right now.
Like also ulti can come back.
If you look at all of the cards on the list, like the some of the most basic spam combos, you know, like Fishborg and Substitute, they all just now instantly vanish. They don't need to be there anymore.
Yeah, old school. You can bring back Infernity stuff because Infernities with Wobble still banned. Like, I mean, you can't spam the board like you.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of those combo decks. I've been thinking about. This is a little weird, but I've been thinking about like Lunar Lights. In the context. Shut up. I've been thinking about, like, and I'm just because I keep trying to think of how I can make like double Leo Dancer, and I'm like, okay, obviously the deck can inherently make one, but for me to like make a second one, I've got to now incorporate this Link summon. Otherwise, I'm stuck on one Leo Dancer, and it's just like that's not enough. And it's like, yeah, I think a lot of those decks, like Infernity, would kind of have that same type of problem.
Yeah,
whether you play like a Synchro or an XC version, the entire spam and get like 3 barriers, like that probably just won't happen anymore.
It's not going to happen again. But something I just came across. I just came across my Lightsworn core. Judgment Dragon's going to be really strong again, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
I think
Can we bring up Punishment Dragon?
Punish me more.
Yeah, but Punishment Dragon is interesting.
Any mass destruction cards, and of course, like when you dark hole your opponent, obviously you kill their extra deck. What the fuck is that zone called?
Extra deck zone.
Extra monster zone.
Extra monster zone. That does obviously affect them as well, right?
I think so. Yeah, that makes. I mean, that would only make sense because you have to attack that extra deck monster before you can attack directly. So it would only make sense that a Dark Hole or a Raigeki would wipe it.
Fair enough. Yeah, I do think that Konami might have to make some adjustments. It's kind of, what's interesting though? Like, what do you think of cards like Dimensional Barrier? Like, what do you guys think about that? Like cards that have been specifically made recently that counter extra deck mechanics, but then don't.
Now that's a damn interesting discussion topic with the new mechanic. I wonder if they would even make another one where you can call like link summoning. You know what I mean?
Well, not yet. Again, they're not going to make
yet. Not yet.
They're
going to support their mechanic and then check it.
Right, it's just like Pendulums. Because when Pendulums first came out, there was no spells or traps that directly in the card text said negate a Pendulum summon, for example. There was none of that going on. You know what I mean? We had to get creative with our card choices.
Wait, didn't they reveal a trap hole that affects like link monsters and linked monsters?
Oh my god,
that they do.
So fucking trash. Yeah. It's like
that's really interesting that they've already came out with something like that. Like they've already not only announced the new mechanic, but they've already been like enhancing the gameplay involving that mechanic by releasing like support cards. You know what I mean?
Well, I think they normally always do that. They normally always have something like that. And because the way that pendulums were, we didn't necessarily have anything that specifically listed, say, get rid of a pendulum, but because they still worked in the same way when they're summons, they're a monster, we still had a lot of cards that interacted in the same way. Right. So I think that they will normally, and especially a trap hole card, I wasn't surprised to see a trap hole card that dealt with links, because that's the MO. It's literally the first, I think every single time it's like the first thing that comes out to deal with a new mechanic, even though saying that technically there's only like 2 because of the way it works. But we had trap hole, which was at the very start. Now we have the link one, which is right at the start. So I think that it'll be very, very slow before we see another specific like D-barrier-esque card that will deal with links.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I kind of feel like cards that just lock out the extra deck completely, not necessarily like vanities, cards that stop just special summoning in general, but I kind of feel like cards like Artifact Scythe, and like domain, I feel like those cards are just gonna be so much more powerful.
Yeah.
They just cover everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's fine with me because I love my monarchs.
I feel like
mean, the
That's the thing. The main monarch. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, domain, GG, or what I brought up earlier, like Fossil Dyna, Vanity Speed, eat a dick,
I mean,
What are you gonna
cards that stop the entire extra deck in general, I don't feel are gonna be more powerful than they were in the first place. Since again, all you're doing is the same thing as before. You're stopping the entire extra deck, but the barrier might get comparatively weaker considering the fact that you can still link summon, but not do anything else.
And even then, not just that, but it's less going to be about the extra deck because we were talking about stun decks and Infernos. They inherently don't use the extra deck and therefore aren't as much affected by
Infernoids are like extra deck. You mean the Tierra Garage?
Exactly.
And what's even more broken now is that they can actually just use the Link monster to clear their field, and it no longer has a level.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, so
they don't
they
have
get
levels.
another body for free that doesn't even restrict Infernoids. They're definitely going to have to get hit going into it.
Yeah, I don't know, or just freaking get rid of lawn mowing. You know what I mean? Like,
It's not long for this world. That card will not be at 3 for the rest of the year. Like,
that card
that is one of the worst design cards ever.
It's up there with Wavering Eyes.
Unlike Pot of Desires being a -11, it's a -21 because you mill 20 cards.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah! Ow! What the hell was that?
Speaking of desires, like how strong? I mean, like draw cards, being able to. I mean, I think being able to get to your combo pieces to access the extra deck will make draw cards like way more. Like, I mean, draw cards are always strong. You know, I mean, they're always powerful, but I think maybe even more so with the new mechanic. But I think everything, like certain cards, like like we were talking about earlier, like Dark-Hole Raigeki, like Destruction's going to be way stronger.
You know, I gotta stop you there for a second, but Gradles can take that shit.
Really
Yeah.
Oh, hold up. Gradles. Okay, hold up. This is an interesting topic because if in general, if you take control of a Link monster, does it go into the extra monster zone or?
Whoa! We have mind control legal, guys. We don't have Snatch Steal, but we have mind control.
Somebody was asking about that. Yeah, like if you take control of your opponent's Link monster, what zone does it go in?
I doubt that you can.
Yeah, someone was talking about it. That's one for Konami to answer because that
again. They answered everything but the things we want to know.
They answered Wavering Eyes questions.
I thank God they did that.
Yeah, don't worry, guys. I know exactly how Wavering Eyes is going to work now. We're all good.
Sacrifice was a horribly designed card too. It had fucking 4 effects.
4 effects. Who ever thought that was a good idea in R&D? Hey. Like, you know what cards need more of? More effects. They're all good.
Well, admittedly, that's the only way they could make people run equip cards.
Hey, my friend on my bed just brought up a good point.
Besides, no, they unbanned Snatch Steal. Snatch Steal's an equip. Come on now.
Hey, YugiNoNo. I have another mindfuck for you. What happens if I Big Eye take a monster?
Ooh, yeah. You can pin them summon like 2 Odd Eyes, right? Rank into Big Eye. You know what I mean? And
Metal Foes will probably do it easier.
What I'm thinking is it wouldn't be a valid fight because you don't have the proper zone.
I almost feel like you're not summoning it, so it'll go to the extra or the regular monster zone rather than the extra, because you're not performing the summon now.
Very true. So like a Link monster can only go into that zone by being link summoned.
Yeah, because when you reborn it or perform other kinds of summons, they can go into your regular monster zone. So I feel like since it's not going to be a summon,
that must be the way that goes, because otherwise it doesn't make sense, because then you're holding, if it was the other way around, if it went to, it stayed in the Link zone and you already have one, you're holding that zone to ransom. So like, even though it technically may be only for a turn or whatever, it doesn't make any sense and it kind of breaks the whole mechanic. So it must have to go to the monster zone.
Yeah.
Here's a question that's not that important. How do you guys feel about them not having defense or being able to change positions?
I think that's a great check to them. It turns every mirror force on.
It's interesting. Yeah, okay, so Ghost Tricks are dead. Ghost Tricks are just unplayable.
Ghost Tricks are unplayable, rip.
Ghost Tricks dead 2017.
Well, honestly, it makes it harder to OTK people because like they have like a monster they have to get around. You know what I mean? Along with like their board, you also have like this monster like literally standing in your way too.
You know what's
no problem.
You know what's a really good question right now? How does darkness approaches interact with link monsters?
It was always flipping them face down attack position.
Oh, that's beautiful.
What does darkness approaches do? Is that the face up defense position?
Yeah, discard 2 cards.
Yeah, it's face down defense. It's face down attack position.
Face down attack position.
You like discard 2 cards or like 1 card or some shit like that. It's like a game mechanic breaking type deal. And they can link to cards on your opponent's side of the field, right?
Yeah, they can give you a zone. Like that's what the Code Talker does. Gives your opponent a zone.
Wait, what?
So game breaking.
Yeah, it has an arrow pointing up.
Yeah, like Decode Talker, is that it? Decode Talker has an arrow at the top giving your opponent a zone.
Yeah, the thing about that, I'm just waiting for some Link archetype that's gonna consist of monsters with 3 top arrows that give your opponent zones, but also do something related to the monsters in them.
Hold on, no, you guys have lost me. I know that it has an arrow pointed up. I just thought that it linked to that.
No, that's actually a good. No, that makes perfect sense. You have a link monster that gives your opponent 3 zones at the for cost in order for you to draw 2 cards, like almost like a pot of greed kind of.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, Cap basically. Yeah.
I'm confused. What do you say? What do you mean by give your opponent zone? Like
okay. So like we were talking about just a second ago. You know how they have the arrows at the top giving your opponent a zone. Okay?
That means your opponent can extra deck summon in that zone now.
Okay.
Right. So it's detrimental. You don't want your opponent to have zones because then they can summon more extra.
But what's funny about the Code Talker is if you summon something in that zone, he gets stronger, which is kind of not that good.
Right. I totally forgot about the whole the cursors mean that you can special summon in that zone. Wow, you know what? YugiNoNo, that could work. If you made a card that gave your opponent a bunch of zones, but then you drew that could definitely
that would be really or just as well. I mean, you give your opponent.
Sorry.
No. You go.
Go like a really long way, and there's a lot because that can really incorporate into the whole strategy that a lot of people are calling out for because it means that you have to weigh up the pros and cons more so than other times, like Pot of Desires. Okay, I'll banish 10, fine, whatever. But if I'm going to allow my opponent to have possibility to draw or to summon 2 extra monsters, just for my cost, it brings in like a whole new level of just strategy, which I really actually quite like thinking about it more.
I think my mind, I never even realized that about the Code Talker. I think my mind just got blown. It's like, when you summon it, you give your opponent the ability to, I guess, they can exceed with their main extra deck zone, and then they can also use the Code Talker is linked to, and they can just exceed again.
Now the only thing I have in my mind is a Link version of Maxi that gives your opponent 3 zones, but you get to draw 1 whenever they summon 2. Also, a thing related to Link monsters and what kind of support we'll be getting is whether Reigns, the new anime, decides to go the Zexal route or the Arc 5 route, as in, is it going to only have Link monsters as the extra deck monsters, or is it actually going to employ every single summoning mechanic? Because if it only has Links, it's going to drastically slow down every other summoning mechanic. Because during Zexal era, we only got 10 synchro monsters.
Yeah, they were not fucking with synchro. You know what? I actually feel like they're going to go to Zexal route. It's just it's so I can't see them right now releasing 3 more synchro archetypes. The whole reason that I think. You don't think so?
No, I'm agreeing with you. I don't see them coming out. No, I was agreeing with you.
The entire reason I think that the ArcV era was really just because of the TV show. They went to every single dimension, so it's we got a complete mixed bag this generation, but I don't see them releasing 5 different
But the thing is,
X.
The thing is, the theme of the new show is apparently supposed to be, and I quote, "Take a step forward and try," and it's supposed to teach kids not to be overwhelmed by a huge amount of information. And I presume that refers to the current state of the game of how everything is a clusterfuck.
Yeah,
but you can learn it if you want.
Yeah, I agree. Is anyone here gonna watch the anime? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I will once I catch up on everything else.
I mean, Arc 5 started great, but it went ridiculously downhill later on. I hope at least the animation director of Zexal comes back, because that series was beautiful. And at least someone of the writers of the first 64 episodes of 5Ds, because that's when Yu-Gi-Oh! Was probably at its greatest. But I'll be cautious since Arc 5 went God knows where at this point.
I was really fucking with Arc 5. I stopped watching that, I think, like 126. When they went to the fusion dimension, and then like the villain ended up being like a good guy, and they started like the whole thing, I was like, what the fuck is going on here? They've been building up this shit about the evil professor, and like he's not a bad guy. Like, what the fuck? Like, I kind of lost me at that point.
I hated the whole dual tainer thing. Like that. Once I heard that in an episode or whatever, like it made me cringe really hard, and I stopped. I was like, I tried even a legitimate.
You were attempting to watch the dub, from what I can hear, which is generally a bad idea with Yu-Gi-Oh.
Which show are you talking about? Now?
Arc 5.
Yeah, dual tainer isn't a term in the sub.
What is dual tainer, anyways? I have no idea what that is.
That's, well, you know how Arc 5 refers to entertainment duelists? Well, in the dub, they call them dual tainers.
Right. I didn't. Well, either way, dual tainers, entertainment duelists. Either way, I didn't like it. Like, I mean, comparing everything to the original anime. I mean, maybe it's just because of my nostalgia blocking my, my will to accept new things. I don't know. But everything to me compared to the original anime is garbage. But that's just my opinion.
I mean, yes, it's your opinion, okay. But again, I personally feel DM is likely the worst or the second worst out of the Yu-Gi-Oh animes. And I feel as soon as I review it on my channel, I'm going to get rocks thrown at my house at some point.
Oh, dude, you're gonna get death.
You're gonna shit on the original Rank 10?
I mean, I'm not gonna shit on it. There are parts of it I really like. I just think it's the least good out of all the 5 so far.
Really?
I will slap you for saying that. How can you say that?
How old are you? Because I mean, I assume we're all in our 20s, right?
I'm 21.
So you're
19.
I grew up with the original anime, and I still think.
So you did, right? Because I'm 24, so you're not much younger than me, and so you were around for it.
Yes, I mean, I was around, I was watching it. That is arguably the one I spent the most time on. And I know how to deduce my opinions unbiased from my childhood. I'm not insulting anyone, literally.
How dare you? I'm going to be the one throwing rocks at your house.
Yeah, sorry, okay. I'll send you a batch.
I tried to give it a chance. I mean, I'll probably give the new anime a chance. I probably won't end up watching the whole thing. You know what I mean? I'll probably watch a couple episodes like I did with Arc 5, give it a legitimate, as much as I can, unbiased chance, and then.
The thing is,
I'll watch it.
I understand that, but the thing is, whenever I hear new people starting to watch the anime, they usually like DM the least, mainly because, first of all, the card game aspect in it makes absolutely no sense.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. Like,
but other than that,
I attack the moon. Like
that. But also, there is a metric fuck ton of filler, as well as massive unresolved character plots. And I'm not saying Yu-Gi-Oh is known for perfect character closures, but the DM is kind of notorious about this. It's not like the worst thing ever. It has some really good moments. Like Battle City in general is amazing, and some of the duels are pretty great.
I felt like the first season of the original was fantastic. Like all the way up to the end of Pegasus, I thought it was great. But...
Yeah, I mean, it's fun as long as you're not paying attention to the card game they're attempting to convey.
The problem with the original Duel Monsters is it has some fucking colossal pacing problems. Like the Duel versus Pegasus is 5 fucking episodes. The Kaiba versus Yugi in
Battle City Finals. Yep.
Yeah, I went
episodes.
and watched that shit. It's like 5 to 6 episodes.
It is, and then so is the Merrick at the end of that. It's another 5 episodes.
But that's what I'm saying. Like they have like one duel that takes like 5 episodes. Like, bro, this show has some fucking serious pacing problems where they'll spend maybe 5 to 8 minutes just activating 2 cards. I'm just what the fuck?
I don't like the concept of Link summoning the rule changes
Goku going
along
like
with
Super
the
Saiyan 3 took like a whole
mechanic, but the
episode on
discussion
that.
at least made me curious about the future of the game.
That show does not have nearly as much filler or pacing problems as people say.
It doesn't. I love Dragon Ball Z. Like, it's one of my favorites. Like
that's the worst stereotype about Dragon Ball Z.
But the thing is, Yu-Gi-Oh!
I feel like it's on a bit of a tangent here. Sorry.
I've been hearing that for years.
Again, I just want to point out, Yu-Gi-Oh! Figured out its pacing problems really quickly because after Duel Monsters of 6 episodes, no duels, and then 5 episodes of a single duel, GX was like 1 duel per episode every episode.
I think there's some 2-parters in GX. I want to say
occasionally, but they were really fast.
Well, yeah, I mean, the newer shows, the pacing has gotten a lot better. I mean, from the little teeny micro bit that I've seen of 5Ds, I can kind of understand why people call it the best series. Like, it seems dark and gritty, and like
I consider the original to be the darkest. Like, I think the original, like, as far as like, I mean, the Waking. I mean, in my opinion, it was. DM was just like the darkest overall.
The original has an interesting aesthetic of like combining ancient Egypt with modern day, and it does have some dark moments. But again, I mean, darkness doesn't necessarily have to equate to quality, but it just kind of seems in Yu-Gi-Oh! That the darkest seasons seems to have the best storylines because the first season of 5Ds is praised, the 3rd season of GX is also praised, the ending of Zexal, so that kind of seems to work.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Waking the Dragons, okay? When Yami loses, Yugi, by playing with Sealborn and Calcos.
Really good.
Oh my god, I'm not gonna lie, that you mean the one against Raphael? That duel
yes, and it was so dark, and it was
that duel was amazing.
Yeah. I mean, then he like loses half of himself, and he feels like shit for it, and then he has to deal with like the criticism and like the hatred from all of Yugi's friends when he comes back, and it's just.
I just want to point out while we're discussing darkness in Yu-Gi-Oh, the Zexal manga has a scene of a 10-year-old getting choked to death in explicit detail. That's serious.
Okay, so how much of Zexal have you seen? Because everyone shits on Zexal, but then when
Zexal isn't actually Zexal. I mean, it's probably the least, along with DM, I consider it the least good one, but again, it gets too much bad rap that it doesn't deserve. Yuma is obnoxious at the start, but he gets a decent amount of development, even though at the end he doesn't seem that much different from what he began as. I'm gonna get a lot of shit for this, but I consider Yusei to be the worst protagonist, because...
Yes, please, thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh my god, Yusei is generally, like, I think he's like the most loved Yu-Gi-Oh! Character ever.
For a wrong reason. People love him.
Jaden might be the worst protagonist. Throw down.
Okay, I will fight you.
Really? Okay. All I hear is Yusei's like the fucking man, and he's so great. And
people praise Yusei for the wrong reasons, and those reasons are, he never loses, which is probably the worst thing about him. He's not allowed to lose. And the character himself, he works for the first season where he's super stoic, and he has a very good chemistry with the rest of the characters. But after that, he never gets developed. His personality never changes. He's always like, my friends, and nothing about it's ever different. Jaden, especially in the sub, we're not considering the dub here because, again, I'm not a sub-elitist. It's just that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is ran by 4 kids when it comes to the dub.
Yeah, I would never watch the dub, except the original. Just because it's giggles.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Has a dub? Never seen it.
Jaden has arguably the most development out of all the characters. Also, this was supposed to be a discussion about Link monsters.
True.
No, I mean, I kind of thought this could just go like wherever, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, this talking about the show does involve Link monsters because I mean the show is obviously going to feature that mechanic and it's going to probably feature it like profusely, like just they're going to lay it on thick because they're going to get everybody wanting to play the mechanic, familiarize everybody with the mechanic, because that's what Yu-Gi-Oh does. It's like, I mean, Xyz's mechanic, like Zexal, like, let me talk shit about Zexal, whatever, but like it like profusely just went over the Xyz mechanic, how to do it and everything, you know.
I mean, even then, in Zexal, sorry, they still did have some rituals and fusions, so I wouldn't be surprised if in this series.
Right, yeah, I mean, they're gonna evolve different mechanics, because obviously the Link mechanic, okay, the Link mechanic is gonna free up the opportunity to summon more extra deck monsters. So once you have like your Link summon monster, they're probably gonna synchro summon, Xyz summon, what have you, once they have the monster zones freed up to do so.
Did you know that in between GX and Arc 5 there was a grand total of 1 ritual summon?
Huh.
Too good.
Wait, you're talking about between Zexal and 5Ds?
No. Yeah, Zexal and 5Ds combined only had 1 ritual summon, which was in Zexal.
Wow.
What was it?
Paladin of Photon Dragon.
Yeah, Paladin of Photon Dragon.
Huh.
How depressing.
And 1 fusion
really
summon.
Think about it, during like the entire Zexal, there was like no ritual mechanic, like didn't exist. You know what I mean? They released no ritual support like at
It's
all.
like the bastard child of Konami's monster categories.
Speaking of ritual monsters, isn't it weird that the cards are blue? Because we already have Obelisk and ritual monsters that are blue, right?
I mean, Obelisk's only playable print isn't blue, neither is
right.
But
you know what I'm saying, though.
Yeah. I thought that was kind of I thought it was pretty much a given that it was going to be a red card, but
right, because that's like the one color we don't have. We have black, white, purple, reddish, orange, vanilla.
We need invisible cards.
Really?
If the next card type isn't in ultraviolet, I'm quitting the game.
One kind of like last weird thing about the anime is it's going to be kind of interesting to see where it takes place, because like if you watch 5Ds, or not 5Ds, Arc V, like the existence of this new mechanic completely like discombobulates the entire story of Arc 5 and how all the dimensions and shit were supposed to come together, and then it's like, oh, but you have this new mechanic too.
Well, the thing about Arc 5 is like the reason why they even had characters from other series in other dimensions is basically as kind of pointless fan service, which occasionally worked, but some characters ended up being garbage, like Kaito.
What? Oh my god!
Kaito in Arc 5 compared to Kaito from Zexal is abysmal.
I mean, you're right.
They're not friends anymore. Kaito on Arc 5 is the best. He's like arguably the best character. I don't know what has happened to him recently, but are you serious? The first time they show him on the show and he summons fucking Galaxy Eye Cypher Dragon?
I mean, it's cool that he's
the fucking most awesome thing.
No, it's cool that he summons neat monsters, even though I kind of can't stand ciphers. But like about his actual character development and how he takes over Shun for no good reason, which then promptly gets. He is angry, but the thing is, Shun has been, no pun intended, getting shunned for the last 70 episodes. So having an edgelord take over him, where we already had an Xyz edgelord, is just kind of weird writing. But then again, they teamed up later on. So
but they spent the first half of the show making Shun like the fucking Batman of the show.
Then suddenly he summons 3/4 Strixes in attack position and they get OTK'd by Fluffles for also no good.
You guys. So I think we need to get out the anime discussion.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just go.
I have another talking point that I just thought of.
All right.
So the whole new type, cybers.
Yeah, honestly, I kind of forgot that was a thing. Yeah, I didn't even notice that until I watched John Moore's video. I was like, wait a minute. I kept hearing people say cybers. I was like, what the fuck is? Why are people talking about cyber dragons? Like, wait a minute, we have a new type.
Right, like. It wasn't Cyber Dragons, so I was kind of triggered. But like cybers.
When I first saw Decode Talker, I was like, please don't be a warrior. Please don't be another warrior. I was like, maybe he's gonna be a psychic, and the next morning I'm like, oh well, at least it's not a warrior.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel, because I remember the Duelist Genesis when they brought psychics into the game. And for the first couple of sets, it looked like they were going to really support psychics. Like Duelist Genesis had emergency teleport, psychic magical android, thought like they had all of this fucking psychic support lined up.
And then
you got a little bit in Crossroads of Chaos, and then after that, like you just didn't need more psychic support.
We didn't get like any more like real psychics till like Cosmos, right? Like
there was the little bit of like what are those cards like what's that bitch like psychic chick or what is the little girl that was like Jeff Jones played the psychic deck and stuff like that.
Esper?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we had some like random stuff, but
yeah, that's what I'm saying. They never fully fleshed out psychics. It was just the first couple of sets. It looked really promising, and people played it in like Teledad, so people thought like, oh, this is going somewhere. And I really hope that same thing doesn't happen with Cybers because obviously, Yosaku's.
Well, how Psychics had kind of a clear theme about banishing and life point gain and life point paying. Cybers so far don't seem to have like anything specific going for them, and neither did Worms. While we're at that topic.
I have another talking point after you guys are done.
Yeah.
That was another failure of a type. I totally forgot that they made a new type in Worms.
I think it was literally just, not me, it's the general consensus is that they made Worms so that they could circumvent Dragon Rulers from being relevant again.
Yeah, I think they just wanted to make dragons without making them dragons.
Yep.
Right.
To be honest, but yeah, the Cybers, I don't know how I feel because again, I've seen them introduce new types and they kind of fall off, and it just seems like Konami has their three favorite children, which of course is like warriors, spellcasters, and like fucking dragons. So it always feels like everything else is kind of playing second fiddle. But again, with the main character's card being a cyber, like I hope that they flesh this out and make this like really good. But I could totally see it just like not being a thing after a couple of sets.
Right.
Or not being a thing, but just like not being relevant. Like, because like Rank10 says, the fact that we kind of know some stuff in the first set and they don't seem to have an identity, like that's a bad sign. Because at least
we didn't so many of them.
I feel like a main character's monsters are going to be different though, and since it's a main character throughout the entire thing, we'll keep getting the support for it.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. But like they should have an identity by now. Like even from like the first 3 cards, you should be able to see something that makes them kind of like all the original.
There is a visual theme going on of like computer lines, CRT kind of video lines across the monsters. If you squint really hard, you can notice that. But there's nothing exactly in the effects indicating any kind of similarity. Then again, at least so far, they look cooler than fucking Performa Pals.
Right. Performa Pals were a fun deck, but they were like the gayest looking deck ever.
I mean, I'm not the one to oppose gay looking decks, but they just look horrible.
I never really got behind like Performa Pals. I mean, I don't know. I never really liked them. I didn't think that they looked that cool in the show, and I don't know. Like,
I didn't like it. I didn't like any of it. But the next talking point I had in my head was, so are they gonna like from here on out, like every new show, are they gonna not only release a new mechanic but a new type too? Because with RB they did Worms with Duelist Alliance. You know what I mean? So like, are they gonna do a new type? I mean. So
probably
like Cybers. I mean, then we had like psychics before, that was 5D's era, right? Yeah, that was 5D's thing.
Yeah, they introduced psychics in Duelist Genesis. And to be honest, I kind of feel like they don't they have too many types that aren't like what is the thunder type? Like what is that?
Right, you have hunters. You have hunters as an archetype, and then that's it.
Battery, man, you got battery.
This is a thing.
Well, you got hunters. Calm down now.
Like, you have hundreds.
You also Thunder King Ryo. Thunder King Ryo's a thunder. He was a relevant card.
Thunders are known for floodgate monsters.
Yeah, Dinko's a thunder. Okay, so that's 2 relevant cards.
You have like 5 good thunders in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh, because that's like an original type. Unless you want to go back to like fucking Sousa Soldier and shit. Like
I mean, I did make like a video about top 10 thunder monsters, but it comes down to. Look at how many floodgate monsters they have. Which is Ryo, Denko, Lightning Rodlord, the new Mustang dude.
Yeah, Zap Mustang.
Yeah. specific team kind.
I don't think they need to make any more like types because they have Thunder, they have Sea Serpent, which I think is garbage.
Right, Aqua and Sea Serpent are probably the worst.
Aqua, Fish, and Sea Serpent are the same thing.
What was that?
Aqua, Fish, and Sea Serpent are the same thing.
That is so true. Like, why is Mermail 3 different types? That never made sense. Like, what the fuck is a fish type?
To not break it, I guess.
No, but it's just like, why is there a sea serpent kind of makes sense, but why is there a fish type? Like, fish and aqua is the same.
Who knows?
Should you have an earth fish or a wind fish? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
No, they're all water.
Yeah.
We do have wind fishes, don't we? Fucking banish sharks.
Yeah, so I think that they don't need to make any more types because they've got probably about 7 types that are completely just trash, and then you've got some other good, like, decent ones, like you got Beast Warrior and stuff like that. But yeah, there's too many types that just are like not ever going to really go anywhere. Like, you'll just never be able to play a pure Thunder deck unless Konami like specifically designs a brand new archetype, or you're just playing like Hunters. You know what I mean?
I mean, they effectively made dinosaurs playable with one structure deck. I'm pretty sure they can do something similar with rocks or thunders or reptiles.
All it takes is them to do a structure deck and it'll blow it out the water. That's all it takes.
I mean, the next one is a wing-based one, right? Because they're going backwards with the original.
Yeah. I mean, Fiends, Fiends as a type were dead in the water before Burning Abyss. You know what I mean? And then you have
Inferno. Like, I mean, not Inferno. They had Infernity like way back when.
Oh yeah, okay. So Infernity was the thing. That's right. I forgot about Infernity. But wait, weren't they all over the place though? Hold on a minute.
Nah, Infernity they're all Dark Fiends.
They're all Fiends.
Yeah, they are.
I don't think Necromancer is like. Nah, she's not like a spellcaster. They're
all Dark Fiends. You're right.
Yeah. So you have types like that. Like Machine that every once in a while like may go out of favor, but like Machines are never going to like completely be bad. Like, I'll never lose faith that Machines in a year or so might not, or they'll get like another amazing archetype. But then there are just other ones, like I said, that you just don't have any confidence in. Like, even when, what's that?
Machines will never be top because System Down is a card.
That's not it.
You know what?
Didn't stop ABC from being relevant.
Yeah, actually, that's what I was just thinking. I was like, why do I feel like Machines just had? They just got like ABCs. Like, Machines will always be relevant.
It's like saying that like that one bug spray card. Like, I mean, whoa, that reminds me. Insects haven't really done anything in a while, have they? Since Insectors.
No, and to be honest, like that's the only thing they've ever had.
They got digital bugs.
Whoa! We had Man-Eater Bug. Okay, Man-Eater Bug was a cool card.
Digital Bug's even supposed to do like
Insectors was the main one.
Yeah. Hey, if anything, digital bugs are sort of kind of playable now with links because a single monster stacking other monsters on top of each other is.
But you can't even. They don't have defense position, so you can't even use them.
Right. Yeah, don't you have to like switch their positions or something like that?
I mean, you can switch their positions in the extra monster zone, just not the position of the link monster.
No. But what I'm saying is, like, Rhinoceros, it nukes everything with the lowest defense, so you can't do that.
Whoa! So do they technically have link monsters? Do they technically have 0 defense, or do they just have no defense?
No defense at all.
This reminds me of that moment in Arc 5 when the dude was like, well, if Xyz monsters don't have levels, doesn't that mean their level is 0?
They're permanently checked by the Mirror Force cards because they're always stuck in attack.
Okay, so Smashing Grab, for example, right? If your opponent only has a link monster, you activate Smashing Grab, which destroys the monster that has the highest defense.
Totally can
probably be an illegal activation.
I don't think in like situation. I don't think you can activate that.
Defense isn't a thing. It's not like they have 0 defense. Defense just isn't a stat on them.
Yeah,
it's
I
not
don't
a thing that exists.
Activate stuff like I don't think it's a legal activation.
That's right.
Yeah, you will not be able to activate something like that because it's not like stated anywhere. It's literally the stat isn't there.
Yeah, and that goes back to the whole they can't switch position. Like, I kind of like that because I feel like it means that you can never play them defensively. Like, they're all offense all the time. Like, if you are in a bad position and you know you can't counter what your opponent's going to do next turn, and maybe you're in time or something, and you try and switch all your monsters to defense, you just can't do it with Link monsters. You know what I mean?
Which is kind of weird, because when you think about it, you would think they would want you to protect your Link monsters as much as possible, considering they allow you to actually use your extra deck, but they're permanently stuck in attack position, so they're inherently a lot more vulnerable.
They're an extreme double-edged sword, and like, okay, so here's something that's weird. Okay, so if you no, you know what? I don't know what I'm asking. I think I'm going back to that whole like Omega thing. I'm thinking of a situation where like you had Omega in one of your Link zones, but then your Link monster dies. Like, can your Omega just return normally? But I'm thinking that it should just be able to, right?
It should, because the ruling is that.
So wait, what about something like interdimensional transporter? Even though that card is like fucking 15 years old and it's not relevant.
Right. So what if that's interesting? That's so interesting.
Something and then comes back to the field.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Let's just say you tap out an Omega, right? And or your Omega's tapped out, and then somehow a Link monster, or just say the interdimensional matter transporter or whatever. Let's just say that you have a Synchro monster there, and then you get rid of it, it gets banished a bit, but you summon a Link monster before it comes back. Would it just come back to your main monster zone? You know what I mean? Because you can't return it to the original zone because it's occupied by a Link monster at that point.
It doesn't have to return to the main zone.
You can put it anywhere.
No, it's in the extra monster zone. It's in the extra monster zone, right? Something that you have, it becomes temporarily banished from the extra monster zone. Okay, like Synchro Xyz does not matter. Okay, then let's just say that you occupy that zone after it gets banished. Then after the temporary banishment, when it tries to come back, it can't come back because the zone is occupied.
Shouldn't it be destroyed? Wouldn't it be kind of ruled the same as like if you filled all your monster zones up and you try to return like an Omega? Like, shouldn't it be destroyed then?
Right, like almost like the trap ruling when like you farfa like a trap monster or whatever, and then when it instead of coming back it gets into the graveyard, or you know what I'm talking about?
This is one of the things where we don't have enough.
It shouldn't go to the monster zone. I get 100% what you're saying, YugiNoNo, but like I don't understand why it would go to the monster zone, because that wasn't where it was. Like if you're saying you have like a Stardust Dragon in your extra deck monster zone, right, and it gets like removed temporarily, like even if it's by its own effect or whatever, and then you summon like Decode Talker, and then your Stardust wants to come back. Where does your Stardust go? Like Stardust shouldn't go to the monster zone just because. I mean,
does its effect fizzle so where it can't come back, or does it go to the main monster zone?
I think it should not come back. Like I think it should permanently just die.
Well, the thing is, if you have now, here's what's interesting. Okay, so now that you guys are on the same page as me, if it does, like if you have like your extra deck, if you have your main zone unlocked with a Link monster, if you have your main zone unlocked with the Link monster, could you technically bring it back to that zone because you have
that's what I thought you were going to.
Yeah.
Can if you can bring it back, does it have to like go in that zone? You know.
Right.
Yeah. That's guys.
That's like
how much do you guys think they're gonna have to like add to the rulebook? to this
An entire
gonna be like that thick.
Entire chapter about links, rivaling the length of War and Peace.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm just, you know what, even more so than that, I'm thinking of like all the rulings and shit like that. Because there's so many situations like that. Like my first thought would be the monster like that Stardust Dragon shouldn't come back. Like it shouldn't go, if it was originally in the extra deck monster zone, it shouldn't return to a main monster zone. If that monster, or if that zone is like occupied, it shouldn't return. But I kind of understand if it could, then, you know, does it go anywhere? Does it have to go in the zone where your cursor is pointing? Like, how the fuck does any of that stuff work? And it's kind of crazy because I want to do some ideas for videos, but it's like I also don't want to put out like.
I feel really bad for those guys that do Dev Pro and Yu-Gi-Oh Pro, because they're gonna have so much fucking work ahead of them, like programming.
They said it's gonna take them at least 2 months to implement link rules.
Yeah, did you watch Glasgow's video where he talked to one of the guys that was like an admin on DN, and he said that it took them like 3 months to code in Pendulum.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it took them fucking 3 months to code in Pendulum, and like that just adding a new mechanic. If just adding a new mechanic takes 3 months, like imagine like all the rule changes. And I think Lithium said that he's trying to contact them to get a mode where like you can play with like the old rules and the new rules, so that he can still like do the cross bandless cup and stuff. So they're just got so much shit to do, if they even do that.
Man, and then they get hit by a strike because NAS.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro and Dev Pro, I mean, have pretty much proven so far to be immune to that crap.
Yeah, I'm just fucking around.
Did you guys actually try and sign up to Duel Links book?
I have like 3 accounts on it because I had to sign up so many times to actually connect.
Have you actually dueled?
I managed to get into a duel, but it didn't work properly at all.
Was that like the first day or what?
Like that day, and then like the game went offline.
I thought it was like a confirmed troll, and then out of nowhere people were talking about it. But I never liked Duel Links Network, so it doesn't really affect me.
How could you like Duel Links Network?
I didn't like it because like I hated the community on there, and I also hated like waiting around forever to finish a game. Like there's so many other things I could do besides just holding my dick waiting on an admin.
I frankly found Duel Links Network to be a lot more chill to play on than Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, and I actually thought my moves through before actually, doing them. Also helps that you can correct minor mistakes, such as, oh wait, I didn't want to declare an attack with that. I wanted to declare it with that.
That was the good side, and like obviously like the rulings. Sometimes like Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro and Dev Pro, like they will have like the rulings wrong. You know what I mean? Like they have programmed in wrong. They're human. So like being able to have like free play and be able to like do what you know is correct, it was better in that aspect too.
Also, I completely understand people that complain about Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro making players less skillful about the real game, because it really does affect your skill when you try sitting down and playing unautomated.
I've always disagreed with that, because like if your ass just pays attention. You know what I mean? Because I'm the opposite. I learned a lot more from Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, especially about rulings and stuff, than I ever did from DN.
Rulings on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro. Ooh, that's
I know.
So accurate.
Like, I can't name
the
any
general consensus. I get what you mean. Yeah.
I don't think Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro makes you a worse player, but I also don't think it makes you a better player. Like when I was actually going to like regionals and super grinding, like I always used DN, and it made me study the fuck out of my deck. But a lot of times, if I get on like a YGO Pro, I'm like, there's so many times where I can do something and it ends up like winning me a game or saving me in a turn. It's like, I know that if the computer didn't step in and say, would you like to activate this card? Like, I know I wouldn't have done that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I'll change shit like that.
Well, I mean, that's
literally
user
to use.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't think that you don't think that it makes you work a little less? Like it's really nice when you're first trying to learn a deck, but I kind of think it makes you a little lazy. Like when you're first trying to learn a deck and you're trying to figure out all the things you can do.
I think that depends on the person.
Yeah, it does. It does, and it also depends on how like different people are different learners. So people like learn on what I'm talking about. Like
I was just about to say that it depends on how you learn, because obviously everyone learns differently at school. The way that you memorize certain combos and how you go about that, it's always different. Some people prefer just doing it in person, other people prefer doing it online, and some people just prefer like staring at the cards and being like, I will learn this combo.
I originally played. I started playing Shadows in Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro before actually trying them in real life, and I kept forgetting to add Shadow Fusion to my hand after a fusion monster got destroyed. So yeah,
that goes that advantage.
Sometimes like it is annoying playing on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro and Dev Pro, because it's like, do you want to activate? No. Do you want to activate? No. Like
no.
You have like a Veiler in hand, or whatever, you're trying to save it.
Here's the trick: you hold right click, and that never appears.
Oh.
Yeah, you just hold it down. Yeah.
I know you hold right click to. Which click is it to chain? You hold.
Left click.
A.
Yeah,
hold left A or left click to chain, right click to cancel.
To ignore everything, just to be like passive type thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, before you go any further, I'm gonna go because I am streaming my regional in about 7.5 hours. So I know.
All right, bud.
I know what that's like. Enjoy.
Yeah, it was a pleasure, guys. Have a good night. See you later.
See you, Alethea. You know, that's actually kind of a good question, though. Like, not to get too far off topic, but how do you guys generally learn, like, how to play decks? Because for me, like, 90% of the time that I pick up a deck, it's because I got absolutely fucking destroyed by it.
You guys are probably gonna make fun of me, but I sit there and duel like the AI on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro until I figure out what the hell a deck does.
Yeah, I mean that's good. You know what I do? I consider the Blackwing AI like the tutorial for my deck. If I can beat the Blackwing AI on Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro, I have a good deck because that thing cheats like no tomorrow.
Yeah. Dude, I've had the AI cheat a lot too, but no, I used to use Hat back when Hat was like the best deck. I used to use Hat as like the bar. You know what I mean? Even after like Hat wasn't as good anymore, I still used that as the bar. Like if I could have all those negates and all that bullshit go on and still be able to play Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm like, okay, this deck's pretty consistent. But yeah, that's just how. I mean, I learned like hands-on and like also like I don't know. Like I also don't buy a deck unless, I mean, it's gonna also sound really lame, but like I have to not only like the way it plays, I have to like the way it looks and the way it plays.
Yeah, that's fine because a lot of people care about the aesthetics of an archetype before they actually play it. I know of people who absolutely refuse to play stuff like, for example, wind-ups or perform pals because they look ugly as sin. I frankly think wind-ups look amazing, but there are people who don't. Geargi also just toy machines with eyes. Yeah, they don't look, but there are people who don't like them also.
Yeah,
a lot of people,
like
a lot of people have an aversion to cutesy anime aesthetics such as Medolce, so they don't play them either.
Right.
Yeah. Noche, Ghost Trick, stuff like that. I mean, I kind of used to be that way, not to get too far off, but like the entire reason that I quit Pokemon and moved into Yu-Gi-Oh was because like I was growing up as a teenager and I was like, yeah, Pokemon's not growing up with me, but there's this new thing called Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's like, yeah, it's dark and it's got dragons and dungeons and swords and shit like that. But as I've gotten older, it's like I've kind of gone back. Like I don't give a fuck about like cute stuff. I will openly like say like I like Momred as a card because she's adorable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I'm saying though.
See, I'm one of those like make Yu-Gi-Oh! Great again kind of people where I'm like, what happened to my card art? What happened to like cool looking zombies and like evil crap and like the satanic looking stuff?
Not my Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay, I would like to retort that Yu-Gi-Oh's art is better than it ever was because when I look at today's Yu-Gi-Oh! Compared to normal monsters from 1999, I couldn't be more pleased.
Oh, okay, that like there was an age in Yu-Gi-Oh! Like I mean, I agree. Like some of the original.
Okay,
cards,
I know exactly what you mean because there was like this really edgy period of Yu-Gi-Oh! Around the GX era. When they made some really hardcore looking things, but you also have the entire Burning Abyss archetype, for instance. You have, what I think really affected the art design of Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the Zexal era, where everything looked like a fucking machine. Every number, almost every single number monster is a machine.
Utopia looks like a machine. He doesn't look like a warrior. He looks like a robot.
They look like fucking Gundams.
Yeah, they do.
I had a guy complain that he doesn't want to watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Past the first season or GX because everything turned into mecha Gundam fights, which is kind of funny to me, but it says a lot about the visual design of the series and how it's evolved over the years.
It's almost laziness,
Did you guys know that sometimes they bring in like really small artists and they'll do like maybe a dozen cards and stuff like that?
Okay, that's pretty cool. I mean, I know the guy that did the Charmers still works with the company. I forgot his name, but
interview with that person.
Yeah. Also, the thing is, so aesthetics matter a lot. For example, in fighting games, there's a guy that I saw the commentary about this because I'm not too big into Street Fighter, but I know of a guy who found a character that fit him, that was really good with him. He knew all the combos and shit, but he refused to play him because the character screamed weird. Like, he made weird scream noises while he was attacking, and it was awkward for him to play it.
There are some weird situations like that, because sometimes in fighting games, there always feels like there's one joke character. Like, if you know Street Fighter 5, like Fang, he's just like what? Like, yeah, exactly. Like, what the fuck are you, dude? And he's supposed to be like a hardcore villain and like the Shadow Lord and stuff. And it's like, I can't even take this character seriously. It's like, this is the guy that like replaced Sagat. Like, that doesn't, you know what I mean?
Even going back to like Mortal Kombat, like for Super Nintendo, I remember like Liu Kang and like Mortal Kombat 3 being like, no, you know what I mean?
That's the greatest attack in fighting game history.
Well, and then also, like we're getting sidetracked.
Yeah.
I got the combo on stream, by the way. I got the spiral. I'm doing the Numeron combo on stream.
What just happened to YugiNoNo? His like picture just paused and did he die?
He gone.
Okay, I guess R.I.P. did. What's it called? Like I know. I've seen like the person who did like a lot of the artwork of what's that card? It kind of looks like Armageddon. It's like Dust Knight or something like that.
It's a Prophecy Destroyer.
Yeah, oh my God. Like some of those artworks look really. In fact, when I first saw that card, I was like, this doesn't even look like a Yu-Gi-Oh card. Like,
yeah, a lot of people say this looks like a Magic the Gathering card.
That's what I said. That is the first.
Oh wait, okay. So I just jump back in. What card are you guys talking about?
Prophecy Destroyer.
Like Prophecy Destroyer.
Oh yeah, it did look like a Magic the Gathering card.
Yeah. Like I kind of wish that Yu-Gi-Oh would get more like individual like artists. They do that. Obviously, Takahashi doesn't design everything, but I just wish they would get like more. You know what I mean? Like get just small artists for like this archetype. Do any of you guys agree that like the playmat designs are like trash?
Yeah,
most of them are, because it's literally just
the card
renders of monsters over
over some like galaxy looking background.
Yeah, I complain about that in my videos, and everybody tells me like you're so dumb, and I'm like, okay, why would it be that hard to just? Like,
it's okay. I'll make a video about it, and then everyone will agree.
Exactly. Yeah, there you go, man.
Yeah, I mean we're the golden gods, right?
Why can't they just pay like a Amanda Lapalm or you know what I mean? That kid who did the Zodiac designs, John. Like, why can't they just pay someone like that? Maybe a couple $1,000s, few times a year, and just design an amazing playmat? Because if you guys have ever seen those core TCG playmats, they look fucking amazing.
Yeah, the guy that Andy Tantoli Belzark does really good UV artwork, and he did a lot of ARG circuit mats, and they should hire him a lot more. But the thing is, does anyone remember the mat for Hero Strike a few years back?
Yeah,
because that is probably the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
Who's on that? Is that Darklaw?
It was a bunch of Omni heroes along with fucking Avian, because we can't talk about Stratos. And the letter is HERO over them.
Konami actually made a joke about Stratos. It was funny.
Like official post on like Facebook or something?
Yeah, it was on Facebook, and then somebody was like, "Oh, we still want you to bring back Stratos" on a Duel Links post, and they were like, "Maybe he wants to stay banned."
Oh my god!
They would come out and address artists. Like, they don't even have to unban it at this point. Just explain why it's not unbanned, and I'll be fine with that.
Right? I think it deserves an explanation. I really do.
Yeah, like you don't even have to unban it. I will laugh at your dumb explanation. That's all I want. Just try to explain why you believe it's too powerful for the fucking.
I'm not gonna chime in my opinion on Stratos, because I know what kind of discourse any kind of opinion on Stratos can bring. So I'm just gonna sit this one out.
This will become a cancerous argument really fast.
If there's anyone who's more of a golden child than you, rank 10, it's straight. Don't talk out of it against Stratos. You're walking that tightrope talking out about Yusei. Don't let that leave this call by.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
No, don't get
10,000 subs overnight.
Don't get me wrong, I fucking love heroes. It's like my fourth favorite archetype or something, but I'm not gonna say anything against Stratos. Against or for Stratos. I'm just gonna say, okay, he's in a band, that's interesting.
The thing you say as a Yugi just say free Stratos. Like there's certain things that you do not speak out against, whether you believe it or not, and you do not speak out against Stratos.
No, everyone wants Stratos back, man.
Yeah, exactly. So just go along.
Other than the people who don't want him back.
Who is that? Konami?
Those people, like those people work for Konami, or
those people don't exist.
They don't know what Stratos is.
Yeah, like you're not gonna find a Yu-Gi-Oh player who's like, yeah, Stratos is like stay banned. Like that doesn't exist.
Okay,
Yeah,
I frankly I'm frankly not a big fan of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Reddit community, even though I'm a part of it. But the thing is, whenever somebody posts, should Stratos be unbanned thread, there's like 200 replies. And it's a heated argument on the level of the Second World War. It's insane.
People are passionate about that card.
Yeah. It actually symbolizes, that card symbolizes a time in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where there was a lot of creativity. And you know what I mean? And I think
yes, Airblade was massively creative.
Well, there was other. I mean, I think Stratos is the face of the GX era. I mean, to be honest, he was.
He wasn't even in the anime.
No, he wasn't. No, he
was in the manga with an effect. Once per turn, you can halve this card's attack to make it attack directly this turn.
That's weird. But I mean, he was in everything in the GX era, like every single Destiny Elemental deck, like ever.
Yes,
because it would have made sense if they banned him then, but it didn't make sense for them to ban him like right after fucking Dragon Ruler format. Like, what the fuck? Like, you banned them at the same time that you banned the Dragon Rulers and
I think TCG is just afraid of Dark Law Turbo becoming relevant again.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they knew they were printing the Masked Heroes.
Wait. Oh, yeah, by the way. So how, speaking of heroes, how does Mass Change work with, because it's not treated as a fusion summon, it's a special summon. So can you, like, Mass Change into Dark Law?
I think it goes the same as it does with the rulings on special summoning from the graveyards with Link monsters, because you can special summon any extra deck monster anywhere if it's like from the graveyard with Call of the Haunted, even if you don't have a Link monster. So I presume it goes similar for Mask Heroes and Zolk maybe.
So you're saying it would just go to a regular monster zone?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So that means heroes are going to be.
Maybe. Again, all of this, literally 90% of Link's discussion is speculation.
I mean, I would think that should be. Wait, yeah, well, okay, because it's not. So wouldn't it be the same? It should be the same for Starlight Road then. You're summoning a Stardust, but it's not a synchro summon.
Right. So it's almost like, I mean, not an inherent summon for that monster is okay, like Zokin, for example. If Zokin's not a synchro summon, it's a special summon.
That card is fucking trash now. Wait, what?
What?
Zokin? Is it considered a synchro summon? I forget.
Hold on.
Hold on. Let me find my Zokin. Hold on.
Is Zokin not a synchro summon?
It's not. It literally says at the start of the effect cannot be synchro summoned.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, well, I have to change my opinion. I just assumed the card was trash now that...
No. So that's what I'm saying. Like, not only is, like, Zokin really good, but, like, when you set a card, you get a special summon. It's not a synchro summon. Like, Zokin doesn't say, like, when you special summon a monster off its effect, it doesn't say, like, this is treated as a synchro summon, like Instant Fusion, for example, which is treated as a fusion summon, right?
I'm gonna just pull it up so I can see it.
Yeah, like, I have a Zokin in here somewhere.
I'm fairly certain that any monster of the extra deck nature being special summoned from the extra deck needs to either occupy the extra monster zone or a linked zone. Because, I mean, with Bahamut Shark, you can't just...
She Bahamut Shark to tell them, which also goes back to, like, man, heroes are going to be really good.
Oh my god!
No, I'm saying I think you can't. I think it would need a zone. I don't think it just comes
You're
out.
literally killing my dream of, like, you're giving me these nightmares that heroes will be able to basically do Dark Law plus, like, Totally Awesome and all that shit. Like, again, because...
Well, they can't. Well, they can't because...
no, they can't. Only Bahamut would technically be like Xyz summoned.
Yeah, right.
No,
right,
but you can't summon Toad unless you have the linked zone because it's a Xyz monster being special from the extra deck.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, cannot be synchro summoned. And then once per turn, spell trap card set to your side of the field. Yada yada.
Let's not try to answer what Konami needs to answer.
Yeah, they do need to answer that because I mean
Then again, that same logic would apply to Starlight Road then.
Well, you know, when you always try to circumvent. I mean, we always try to circumvent like summoning a monster the correct way. We've done it with Infinity, with Ptolemaeus. You know what I mean? We've done it with I don't know, like with Toad with Bahamut Shark. Like we've always tried to like summon monsters like better ways, right? It's just like creativity in the game. And so, like, if these mechanics, like Zokin, you know, and all that stuff, like, if you can still work, if they still work how they work right now, that's like game breaking on its own. You know what I mean? Because like you just like straight up like summon Zulkin, set a card, you got Crystal Wing, bam. You know, that would be really, really good, really, really good. Because that like completely circumvents their whole new mechanic. Like, why do I need this new mechanic when I can just do Zulkin spam? You know?
Exactly. What do you guys kind of feel about Maximum Crisis now? Because I kind of feel like this blah. Like I wasn't in love with that set to begin with. I knew it wasn't going to compare to Raging Tempest, but I don't know. Like any hype or buzz that I've had for that set has just been completely killed.
I feel like here's the problem. This is with all players. When you keep looking ahead, you always look ahead and you never stop in the moment. And that's how people really find the formats they love, the decks they love. And like some people do resonate with Zodiacs, even though a lot of people hate it. And they're like, well, I'm still going to play. Nationals is going to be with this. I want to play in Nationals. I'm ready. I'm going to keep learning. I'm going to keep dueling. And so there are going to be people excited for that. And then there's other people excited to break every aspect of the game, looking all the way ahead, thinking, how can I bring Link monsters? How am I going to break this? So you're always going to have people that go into different camps of you're excited about something else, and Cap, your channel usually does look ahead instead of like living in the now, you know?
Mm-hmm. I go random.
I mean, okay, when it comes to Maximum Crisis, I can't speak for the entire set. I'm just gonna point out the last fucking thing I expected them to do is make goddamn BES support.
Oh my gosh.
Because I mean,
sometimes they do like some of the most random things. Like that random BES, the field spell and shit like that. They've got what it's like 2 monsters in a field spell, I think. Coming
yeah, they got one.
They barely have crap. They don't have anything really.
It's insane though. Like it literally just proves how much a single field spell can do for an archetype that's complete garbage. Because they went from barely being able to summon a single monster to going like into a rank 8 first turn.
Yeah, you could argue the same thing with Monarchs almost too. Like, let's just say they didn't come out with a Monarch deck. You know what I mean? A new Monarchs. What if they just came out with Domain? Like, Domain itself is a pretty good card, and it would have made the archetype, I think, at the time playable. You know what I mean? Like, but it's
you're
just
saying if they got Domain and nothing else? Nah.
Right. Yeah, because that would have been out of nowhere too. Because Monarchs haven't been played since like Frog Darks, which was forever ago.
I think if they did that, I think it would have flopped because like you'd like never get like the whole reason that this shit worked is you had like 3 Pantheism and they made being able to summon Mega Monarchs like so easy with like Edia and just I love that deck so much.
I do too. I miss it. Like I still play it.
I actually really miss Monarchs. I wish I would have played that at more than one regional because that deck was so fun.
Me too. I only played it at one regional. Matter of fact, it came out. I was playing Pepe, right? And I just didn't draw any of my outs to Domain all day. And dude, I hate shit to Monarchs. And I was like, but like instead of getting mad, I was like, I like this deck. And then I pitched my my Pepe deck or whatever, my Magician deck, whatever I was playing at the time. I remember it was Pendulums, right? Mm-hmm. I pitched it and then bought 3 structure decks. It was just like, bam, you know what I mean? I have a deck. It's great.
I think. Go ahead, John.
Billy played it for the very last event it could be played at, and then top 8, and he's like, I don't know why I didn't just play this all along, and everybody just hates me. Like, I was happy, I sat down, and like, they wouldn't even ask anymore how many were in my extra, and I just shuffle my deck, and it's like, by the way, I have 0 in my extra, how many's in yours? And everybody just got pissed at him, and he's like, I've never had that reaction before, I was the villain, it was so fun.
Yeah.
I never understand why people like hated that deck with a pat. Like I was just like, is it Domain? Is it like you're doing broken shit too? Like I can't have one broken card. Right. That deck was like so much fun. I never quite understood like all the hate that it got. Maybe it's kind of like Necros for me. Like I never really played Necros when Necros was big. I just pretty much hated on it. So, but people loved Necros.
Monarchs were I feel like Monarchs and Necros, okay? Those are 2 decks that were very powerful in their times, okay? But the player base bitching about it is what got both those decks hurt, in my opinion, because Necros and Monarchs are 2 of the easiest decks to floodgate and stop. Like, you flipped a Mistake against Necros, you won. Period.
You are right. Like, people really forgot that, like, anti-spell was a thing during, like, when Necros were big.
Right, yeah, anti-spell.
It's just like hardly anyone played. Like anti-spell was like so good against Necro. I was like, oh, you can't ritual summon this turn. You have to wait an entire turn. By that time, I can just fuck you up. You know what I mean?
I played Necros for a little bit, and then I pitched the deck before because I was like, this deck's really good. I know it's going to get hit because people bitch about it too much. So I pitched the deck, and then I switched to like anti-meta, and I like started making because everyone was playing Necros at the time, like everybody played that deck. So I just started freaking making mistakes. I made 3 mistakes and just wrecked people. Like anytime I played a Necros player, and I opened with a mistake, you win. Like they can't out it unless they have MST.
I really wish Konami would put like Necros back. I'm actually maybe not at full strength because I'm secretly still kind of scared that if Necros had everything at full power, like it would be possibly the best deck in the game. Because I'm just thinking like
it would be with Link summoning because they don't care about the extra deck. You know what I mean? They do.
Unicorn is just gonna get better actually.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, Unicorn just get. I'm just thinking about how big the fucking Genlock like actually was, and the fact that you just had to main deck cards for one fucking. I've never played in a format where you had to main deck cards, not for a deck, but for a fucking play. People were main decking just for the Genlock.
Right, and I mean it helped define the format really, at the time because you had to have your shit.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say I was playing Teller Knights and I used to be like, I need to play Ring of Destruction because of Jin. I also need to play Easy Deck. You know what I mean?
What was that damn Ice Barrier card that people were even playing for Jin?
Oh, Shock Troops! I can't. That is the worst. That is the worst search card ever printed, and it was played during Necros because water destruction. Jesus Christ!
It kept you advantage because it was literally an exiled force against Necros that got you another exiled force.
Yep.
I do actually vaguely remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, people playing.
It was busted against Necros. I mean, it was busted for the 3 weeks that people figured it out before Necros got nerfed. You know what I mean? Well, after that, people. Maybe my memory's like not very good in this area, but Necros. I think Brio. I remember Brio going to 2, right? Or did Brio go to 1?
No, Brio went from 3 to 2,
and then from 2 to 1.
Then it went to 1.
And then Unicorn immediately went to 1.
Right? No, I don't think that was the case. I think it was just the Brio bit.
See, I didn't play like that second half of Necros when they started mixing in like the performages and stuff like that.
I wasn't playing Necros at that time either. Like when performages came out, I was actually playing Exciton spam. I was playing Exciton Evil Swarms and pissing people off because like not only could I make Exciton like way more consistently with the performages, but like I also had the damn infestation playing Evil Swarms to protect it, so they couldn't like do anything for my Exciton. It was freaking fun. Like, it was so stupid. But, anyways, no, I don't like. The more I think about, like Link summoning, I don't know if I like I said earlier before we even started this call. The main thing I hate about it is like the whole zones. Like I understand adding the strategy, with monster zones, but like. Being anal about where my stuff goes, like I've never been that player, you know what I mean? I've just been like, I always thought that people that were anal about where their stuff went were fucking weirdos, So like, for that to be a part of the game now, I'm just like fucking shoot me now,
It's funny. It's funny because now people will actually have to play mats with clearly outlined zones as opposed to clear ones.
Yeah.